So nobody externally is telling us this is how you got to run Red. 100% our decision, internal decision for a single source of truth. Here's another one. You talked about one language of growth. And I remember in our conversation, you said, Steve, what define growth? And it's, oh, hang on a second. There's a lot of different ways to define growth. Again, nobody's telling us how to define growth. We get to decide how we want to define growth. Tell me a little bit about this, the one language of growth.
I think for CROs, when you sit in these executive leadership meetings, you meet a new CEO, you're starting a new partnership, or you're in 3, 4, or 5 years into that partnership. Growth means something different every year. You can break it down monthly and quarterly, but growth means something very different year over year. So, example, we want to grow 50% year over year this year. What does good look like there? So I call that the wiggle. What does good look like? Are we a business with the infrastructure, the commitment, and the tolerance for risk that it takes to grow 50% year over year? Unless you're a very early stage business, 50% growth year over year, even 25 to 50% growth year over year. Is it attainable? Of course. Is it easy? No. Is there a very small percentage of companies that can actually obtain that? Yeah, it's all doable, but are you comfortable with the levers that need to be pulled to be able to do that? So I think with good CROs, or just really any CRO who's looking at we're in Q4 now, Q1 projections are well in flight. Everyone is sitting, they're scrambling, they're putting together their forecast and their pipeline. They don't want to overcommit, but they got to keep everybody happy. If I'm looking at something and say we want 50% growth year over year, I'm using a big round number. Are we okay with the operational changes that are going to need to happen to obtain this? Are we okay with jettisoning service lines? Are we okay with jettisoning people and teams? Because in order to obtain 50% growth, you have to operate like a very rapid growth, high growth business. And in order to do that, there are unfortunately like strong risk levers that you can't unpull. So one thing that I always like to do, and again, we circle back to RevOps in this because they're really important in it, is any growth projection that you put in, or call it a growth plan you put in, it has to be what people will break it down to milestones or what it takes. Okay, what are the milestones to get to this? That's fine. But what does that growth actually entail? It entails making these difficult decisions, these relatively innocuous decisions, but any real miss in that growth plan on high growth, 50%, 25, 50, whatever it may be, it's detrimental to the long-term vision of the business. So that risk very rarely gets talked about. We say we want a 200 million enterprise value in 5 years. We want 50% growth year over year. It's okay. Do you understand what it's going to take to be that type of growth organization? And when you really break it down, what you find out a lot, especially from CROs or CEOs and founders, is, well, I'm not really comfortable with what it's going to take. Okay, then let's realign what this growth strategy is going to look like so that, one, everyone's comfortable. And I don't think we should be completely comfortable. I think you should definitely be uncomfortable sometimes. But you have to be comfortable with the risk. You have to. And if you can't articulate what that risk really is, not just the financial risk, but the risk to the culture of the business, the risk to trust. We're circling back to trust and alignment. You set big goals. You don't prepare the teams. You don't prepare the processes for what it's going to take if you do get there. But worse if you don't get there. You lose that trust really quick.